What makes a country's military truly powerful in the world today? This question is very important, but the answer has changed a lot. In the past, people might have simply counted soldiers, tanks, or ships. However, nuclear weapons have brought a big change to how we think about military strength. Countries like the United States, Russia, and China have many nuclear bombs. These weapons are incredibly powerful. A single nuclear bomb can destroy a whole city very quickly. This great power led to an idea called mutually assured destruction, or MAD. This means if one country attacks another with nuclear weapons, the attacked country will use its own nuclear weapons to strike back. The result would be that both sides are destroyed. No one would win such a war. Because of MAD, no country wants to start a nuclear conflict. This makes the traditional idea of military victory meaningless when we talk about nuclear arms. Nuclear weapons mean that no one can truly win against another nuclear power. So if nuclear weapons create this strange equality where no one can win, how do we measure a military's real strength? We must look at other types of military power. These are called conventional forces. This means we compare armies with regular soldiers, non-nuclear ships, warplanes, and other standard military equipment. We need to understand how countries use these forces to reach their goals without using the most dangerous weapons. What truly makes a military strong in the 21st century goes beyond just having a lot of weapons. It is about much more than raw numbers. It is about having new and advanced technology. It is about how well soldiers are trained and how much experience they have. A strong military today can send its forces across long distances. It can control the air above a battle and the seas below. It can also fight in new ways, like with computers in cyberspace or with satellites in space. It is also important to have strong relationships with other countries, making powerful alliances. This book will explore these different parts of military power. We will compare countries like the United States, China, and Russia. We will see what gives a military its real strength in our modern world, moving past the idea that only nuclear bombs show true power. 2. The cost of an army. Military power needs money. In 2024, countries around the world spent a lot on their armies. This total reached about $2.7 trillion. This was a big jump from the year before, the fastest increase since the Cold War ended. This rise shows that big countries like the United States, China, and Russia are all trying to make their armies stronger and more modern. The United States spent the most, nearly $1 trillion. This is about 37% of all money spent on militaries globally. This huge amount is much bigger than what other countries spend. China spent around $314 billion. Russia spent even less, about $149 billion. So the U.S. spends more than 3 times what China spends and almost 7 times what Russia spends. These raw numbers show a clear lead for America, but they don't tell the whole story. We need to understand something called purchasing power parity, PPP. This means that a dollar spent by the U.S. military might buy less than a Chinese yuan spent by China's military. For example, in China, soldiers generally earn much lower salaries than their American friends. Also, the cost of making new weapons or equipment can be very different between countries. Because of these differences, some experts think China's actual military strength, when we think about what its money can truly buy, might be closer to the U.S. level than the simple numbers suggest. A dollar in the U.S. might not go as far as a yuan in China for military needs. How countries spend their money is also very important. The U.S. military budget pays for many things. It keeps a large network of military bases open all over the world. It pays competitive salaries for its soldiers, because all American soldiers choose to join the Army. The budget also funds new research and development for future weapons, modernizes old buildings, and pays for health care and pensions for many soldiers and former soldiers. About 40% of the U.S. military budget goes to paying people and their health care. This means a smaller part of the budget is left for buying brand new weapons or updating old ones, compared to nations with different military systems. China and Russia use a different system. They both use conscription, meaning some people are required to join the army for a time. This reduces the cost for each soldier, allowing them to spend less on individual pay and benefits. With lower personnel costs, they can spend more money on buying new equipment and making their army modern. Russia, for instance, even with lower overall spending, has focused its money on specific weapons. These include missile systems, air defenses, and tools for electronic warfare. When we look at military spending, we also need to include groups of countries. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, is a strong group of countries that work together. The U.S. is a big part of NATO. Together, NATO countries spend a huge amount on defense. Their combined budget is between $1.4 trillion and $1.6 trillion each year. This large amount adds to the overall military power of the alliance. Germany, a major country in Europe and a NATO member, increased its defense budget to $88.5 billion in 2024. This shows a growing concern and investment in military strength among NATO members. In summary, while the United States spends the most money on its military, looking at just the numbers can be misleading. How money is spent, what it can buy in different countries, and the combined strength of allies are all important parts of understanding the true cost and power of an army. 3. Soldiers and machines. Military strength is not just about money, as discussed before. It also depends on the people in uniform, the soldiers, pilots, and sailors. NATO, with 32 member countries, has about 3.44 million active soldiers. Russia has around 1.3 million active military personnel. China has the world's largest army, estimated at 2 million active soldiers. So, by numbers alone, China and Russia together have more soldiers than all of NATO. However, simply counting soldiers does not tell the full story of military power. The quality of these soldiers, their training, and their combat experience are much more important than just a large army. For example, soldiers in the United States military stay in service for about 10 years on average. This means they gain a lot of practical experience and skills. Many have served in real combat zones for over 20 years, making them very experienced in real-world situations. The United States invests heavily in training its soldiers. Units go through difficult cycles at special centers, practicing against advanced forces in realistic scenarios. Pilots spend many hours flying, naval crews spend many days at sea, and ground units do frequent exercises. This prepares American units to be highly effective. In contrast, China and Russia have less recent experience with large-scale fighting. Russia gained some combat knowledge in Ukraine, but this conflict also showed problems with its military's logistics and training. China has not been in a major war since 1979, so its military experience comes mostly from training drills. The quality and education of new recruits are also vital. The United States has an all-volunteer military, offering competitive pay and career paths. New American recruits often score much higher on military tests than in the past, showing a strong ability to learn. This high intelligence and technical ability are necessary for operating today's advanced weapon systems. China, despite conscription, struggles to find enough skilled people for its technical military roles. Russia also faces recruitment challenges, partly due to population size and economic impacts, relying more on contract soldiers and financial rewards, but this is hard to sustain. Warfare has greatly changed, moving from needing many boots on the ground to needing button pressers. This means the focus is on smart soldiers who can use complex machines and technology. Advanced fighter jets, like the F-35, require operators with very specialized technical training. The same is true for soldiers in cyber warfare, satellite operations, artificial intelligence systems, or modern missile platforms. Nations good at finding, educating, and keeping personnel with strong technical skills, often with university-level knowledge, will have a major advantage. This advanced skill and technological understanding are now often more important than just a numerically larger army. 4. Power on the water. Controlling the seas is a key part of military strength. It allows a country to move its power to far-off places. Navies, especially those with aircraft carriers, are very important for this. Aircraft carriers are like large, moving air bases on the water. They can launch many fighter jets and planes. The United States has a big lead in this area. It has 11 active aircraft carrier groups. These carriers use nuclear power, so they can stay at sea for a very long time without needing to refuel. Each carrier group is a powerful force, with about 65 planes, many support ships, and thousands of skilled sailors. These groups allow America to send military power to almost any part of the world. No other country has so many or such advanced carriers. China has 3 aircraft carriers. The older ones are called Liaoneng and Shandong. The newest is Fujian. These Chinese carriers use regular fuel. This means they cannot travel as far or as long as America's nuclear carriers. The Liaoneng and Shandong use a ski jump ramp for planes to take off. This limits how much fuel or weapons the planes can carry. The Fujian has newer technology for launching planes, like the U.S. China is also still learning how to use these big carrier groups together effectively. They do not have as much experience as the U.S. Navy. Russia has only 1 aircraft carrier, the Admiral Kuznetsov. It often has serious mechanical problems and has been used very little. Beyond carriers, the United States Navy has many more large warships. For example, America has 92 destroyers, which are fast and powerful warships. China has about 50, and Russia has 15. The U.S. also has 50 large guided missile cruisers, while China and Russia together have about 20. When we count all military ships, NATO countries have about 1,143 ships. Russia has 419, and China has 350. China is building new ships quickly, but still has fewer. However, having many ships is not the only measure of power on the water today. China and Russia have been developing new ways to challenge large navies. They use a strategy called anti-access/area denial. This means they want to make it too dangerous or costly for enemy ships to come close to their coasts. China has many advanced anti-ship missiles. Some are very fast, called hypersonic missiles. These missiles can travel hundreds of kilometers and are designed to hit large ships, including aircraft carriers. Russia also has powerful anti-ship missiles, such as the Kinzhal and Zircon. These modern missiles make naval operations near China or Russia very risky for any large fleet. So, the United States has the strongest navy for operating anywhere in the world. But China and Russia have created strong defenses in their own regions. They aim to make it difficult for any outside power to use its navy close to their shores. This shows that power on the water is changing. It is not just about the biggest ships, but also about the weapons that can threaten them. 5. Power in the air. Control of the sky is very important in wars today. The country that can fly its planes freely and stop enemy planes has a big advantage. When we look at air power, the United States is ahead. America has advanced fighter jets. The F-22 Raptor is known as the world's most advanced air-to-air fighter. The F-35 Lightning II is a very common type of fifth-generation fighter. Thousands of these jets are being made. The F-35 has special technology. It can combine information from radar, sensors, and other systems. This helps it find targets that other planes cannot see. NATO countries together have many aircraft, about 22,377 planes. Russia has around 4,957 planes. China has about 3,500 planes. NATO's planes are often more advanced. They also have strong air defense systems, like the Patriot system, which can stop enemy planes and missiles. China is working hard to improve its air force. Its J-20 stealth fighter started flying around 2017. It is a good fifth-generation jet. China also has the newer J-35A. But Chinese jets are not as advanced in their sensor systems as the F-35. They also do not have as much experience flying in real combat compared to American planes. Russia has the Su-57 fighter jet. It was made to be like the F-22. But Russia has very few of them, maybe less than 12 jets, flying by 2025. The war in Ukraine showed that Russia's Air Force has trouble controlling the sky, even against an enemy with older planes. Russia uses ground-based air defenses to protect its own airspace instead. But the future of air fighting might change. New, very fast weapons called hypersonic missiles are a big challenge. These weapons fly at more than 5 times the speed of sound. This makes them very hard to stop with today's air defense systems. Current defenses were made for slower missiles. Both China and Russia have developed these fast weapons. Russia has used its Kinzhal missile in Ukraine. It comes from old missile technology. China has the DF-17 missile. It carries a special part that glides through the air at hypersonic speeds. This missile is good for hitting strong targets like aircraft carriers or U.S. Army bases in the Pacific. China tested these fast weapons many times between 2013 and 2018. Russia also has the Zircon anti-ship hypersonic cruise missile and the Avangard hypersonic glide vehicle. These have finished testing. The United States has been slower to deploy hypersonic weapons. Its programs have faced delays. The U.S. Army's Dark Eagle missile might be ready by 2026. This is several years after Russia and China. Experts say this gap is a problem for America's defenses. Today, no defense system can reliably stop hypersonic weapons. This puts ships, bases, and soldiers at risk. The Pentagon is working on new ways to defend against these missiles. They are building new defense systems. They are also planning to launch many satellites that can see hypersonic missiles as soon as they are launched. This will give early warning. But for now, Russia and China have an advantage in these super-fast weapons. This shows a new kind of power in the air. 6. The Secret Wars. Modern wars are not only fought with tanks and planes. They also happen in secret, in the world of computers and the Internet. This is called cyber warfare. It's a new kind of fight where people use computers to attack other countries' systems. Cyber attacks can be very dangerous. They can target important things like electricity grids. Imagine if power went out in a big city for days, or if banks could not work, stopping money from moving. Water systems could also be attacked. If these stop working, a country faces many problems for its people and economy. All modern armies need computers to work. Soldiers use digital systems for talking, finding enemy targets, and moving supplies. If these computer systems are attacked, the army can become confused and weak. China is very active in cyber warfare. The U.S. government says China is the most active and persistent cyber threat to American computer networks. China has placed special computer programs inside American critical infrastructure. These programs wait, ready to cause problems later if there is a conflict. China also attacked U.S. phone companies. This shows they want to be ready to disrupt American communications. China's government controls many of its own computer and energy systems. This might make them easier to defend than systems in countries like the U.S., where private companies own much of the infrastructure. Russia also uses cyber attacks with real war experience. Russia has used them in Ukraine. Russian leaders show how cyber attacks help soldiers. They can stop enemy armies from talking. They can make air defense systems work badly. They can also spread false information or fake news. This helps Russia's regular army fight better. The United States has strong cyber teams, like those in the National Security Agency. They protect their own systems and can also attack others. However, in America, many critical computer systems are owned by private businesses. This can make them harder to protect fully, as they are not all under one central control. Another new area for war is space. This is very important because modern armies depend on satellites above Earth. Satellites help armies talk globally. They help planes, ships, and soldiers know where they are, using systems like the U.S. GPS. Satellites also spy on enemies, gathering information in real time. These space tools are vital for American military operations. But the U.S. is not alone in space for its military. China can destroy satellites. It has special missiles that can hit objects orbiting Earth. This is called an anti-satellite, ASAT capability. If a country can destroy an enemy's satellites, that enemy's army can become blind, unable to communicate or navigate. Russia also has ways to stop satellites from working. They have systems that can block or jam satellite signals, making them useless. China has built its own big network of satellites, including the Beidou navigation system, like China's own GPS. It also has satellites for spying and communications. This means China does not always need U.S. satellites for important military actions. The United States knows space is a battlefield. It is investing a lot in building many small satellites. These small satellites work together. If one is destroyed, others can still work, making the system strong. The U.S. even created a new military branch called the Space Force. This shows how important controlling space is for military power today. China and Russia also see space as a key part of future wars. 7. How to win a long war. To win a long war, armies need more than just good weapons. They need a strong system to get supplies. This system is called logistics. It means moving fuel, food, spare parts, and ammunition to soldiers on the front lines. A modern army needs a lot of these things every day. If supplies stop, even the best army cannot fight for long. Imagine a war far from home. Planes need fuel and parts. Ships need maintenance. Soldiers need food, water, and medical care. If one part of this supply chain breaks, the whole army can stop. The United States has spent many years building a global logistics system. It has bases around the world. It can move large groups of soldiers and equipment across oceans quickly. Its Navy has ships that can refuel and resupply other ships at sea. This allows its forces to stay in distant places for a long time. This ability to move and support forces globally is very important for a long war. Another key part of winning a long war is being able to make enough weapons and ammunition. During a big fight, armies use a lot of bullets, bombs, and missiles. Countries need factories that can make these items fast. Some experts say that America's factories are not ready for a very long war. They say that the United States might not have enough ammunition for a long conflict. For example, the war in Ukraine showed that armies use much more artillery ammunition than countries usually produce in peacetime. Both the United States and its allies have had trouble making enough. One defense contractor said that the U.S. might run out of ammunition quickly in a war with a major enemy like China. China, however, has a very large industrial base. It can build many ships and produce many weapons quickly. Its factories are set up to increase production fast if a war starts. Countries like Germany and Poland are also working to make more weapons. Germany has started making tanks again. Poland is buying many defense systems from other countries. Russia, despite economic problems, has also kept its factories making weapons for the war in Ukraine. This shows that having strong factories is vital. No country truly fights alone in a major conflict. Alliances are very important. They bring many countries together. NATO is the strongest military alliance in history. It was started in 1949. Its main rule, called Article 5, means that if one member is attacked, all members will help. NATO includes the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and many other countries. Together, they have huge military power and money. The war in Ukraine made NATO stronger. Countries like Finland and Sweden joined. Many European countries also spent more money on their militaries. They now work better together. However, there are still challenges. The United States often pays for most of NATO's military costs. Some leaders in America question if they should always lead the alliance. This can make allies unsure. China also has partners like Russia, Iran, and North Korea. But these relationships are not as strong or as well organized as NATO. Strong alliances can make a country much more powerful in a long war. Finally, a long war depends on people. Soldiers' morale, good leaders, and a country's will to fight are all very important. Morale is how confident and happy soldiers are. If soldiers have high morale, they fight better. The American military is all volunteer, meaning people choose to join. This helps keep morale high. They also have good training. Russia's army has had many soldiers die in Ukraine. This has made morale lower for some units. China's military has not fought a big war for many decades. It is not clear how its soldiers would perform in a real, long war. It is easy to have high morale in peacetime, but real war can change that quickly. A country's will to fight is also key. Does the public support a long and costly war? The United States has shown it can fight long wars, but there are limits to public support. China faces questions about whether its people would support a war that could harm their economy. In Russia, support for the war in Ukraine has gone down as more people are hurt or killed. These human factors can make the difference between winning and losing a long war. 8. The final answer. We have explored many important parts of military power. We started by looking at how much money countries spend on their armies. The United States spends the most, with China and Russia also spending large amounts. We saw that having many soldiers is not enough. Good training, experience, and the ability to use new technology are more important today. Modern soldiers need skills to operate complex machines. We also looked at power on the water and in the air. America has many large aircraft carriers and advanced fighter jets. China and Russia are building their forces, but they have less global experience. New, very fast missiles, called hypersonics, are changing air defense. We discussed hidden wars too, like those in computer networks, cyber warfare, and in space, using satellites. Countries can attack critical systems. Protecting these new areas is a big challenge. Getting supplies, fuel, and ammunition to soldiers is also very important. This is called logistics. Strong alliances, like NATO, make a military much stronger. The will of a country to keep fighting is another key part. Considering everything, the United States remains the most powerful military worldwide. It can send forces almost anywhere and has many strong friends. China is a powerful military in its region and is rapidly improving its technology and industry. Russia also has strong forces, especially near its borders. The future of warfare will rely on who has the best new technology and who can quickly make weapons. It will also depend on how well countries work with their allies. True military power is not just about the biggest weapons. It is about many different strengths working together, A country's economy, its smart people, its ideas, and its friends. These things combined make a nation truly powerful. What do you think is the most important part of a country's military power today?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.